Welcome back to the Code Wolf. Let's get straight to the point. Today we're going to talk about the top Azure and Azure AI announcements coming out of GitHub Universe, just to make things easier for all of you who are only interested in those topics. So let's get right into some demos and examples of what's going on here. And as always, a quick reminder to please hit the subscribe and like buttons to support the channel, and let's go. The first thing I want to talk about and demonstrate is the new GitHub CoPilot for Azure in VS Code. So this is a new extension that was just released. And if we go over to our extensions tab here, you'll just want to search for GitHub Copilot for Azure and go ahead and install that extension. I've already done that here. You do need a Copilot subscription to use this through GitHub Copilot, but there is a free trial out there, which is actually what I'm using for this video. So it does work with the free trial. So once you have that extension installed, you just hit this Copilot chat button up at the top here, and then we can start asking questions. And this actually understands your specific subscription. So I can use the @Azure keyword here and then just say something like list the names of all of my AI services. And it's going to go out and query some endpoints and other AI assistants and figure out all this information for us and report back. And you can see it's even giving some of that contextual info for us. But if we scroll down, here's the names of the different AI services that I have running right now. And we can also ask it knowledge information, such as what regions support GPT-4 models or something like that. And so as you're working, you can kind of just ask it different questions. Here it needs more information to proceed. So I'll just say general search, since that's one of the options. And then it's going to go out and scrape that information and give us some references and put together an answer here. So it'll say that we can deploy GPT-4 into these regions. So Copilot for Azure can do a lot of different things. Go ahead and play around with that. But basically, this is just a more fine-tuned Copilot for your Azure environment and general Azure information. Now, another GitHub Universe announcement kind of goes along with this, and that's the fact that we can now use different models with Copilot. So we can use these O1 models, which are actually just other open AI models through that service. And apparently there's also models coming from Google, such as Gemini and some other things. So that's kind of interesting that you can now pick what model you want to use. Maybe one of them will give you better results, but it'll be interesting to see how this expands over time. I think this one is actually kind of a surprising and big deal. So that one is interesting. I'm not going to show different comparisons between those models right now. Now, another big announcement from GitHub Universe was the AI app templates gallery. So it says build with AI. And you can see here, there's all kinds of different AI templates ready to go. And so what does that actually mean? Well, these are all built as Azure Developer CLI templates. So if you're not familiar with that tool, it's essentially a command line utility that lets you provision and deploy templatized apps to Azure. So it's backed by Bicep templates and some other command line tooling, and it allows you to deploy and package up apps as templates so that they're reusable and redistributable and all that. So over on the left, you can filter by different languages and services and models and such. And so I'll just choose .NET. And for example, if we wanted to deploy this OpenAI semantic kernel template, we could click on that and it gives us the Azure Developer CLI command to do that. So I'll click on that. And then over in VS Code again, I have this terminal window open. And I'm in this AI temp folder and I can just copy that command in here. And it's actually going to clone down this template. Now you can also do this in code spaces on GitHub if you don't want to bring it down locally, but I'll just call this AI testing or something for the environment name. So if we list out our directory now, we can see that there's a whole folder structure in here. And so there's a source folder and an infra folder. That's where your Bicep files are. Source is where your app source code is. There's basically a whole app template here. And then we can run the azd up command to deploy this. So I'll go ahead and run that. And it's going to ask us what subscription to deploy to. So I'll pick one of those, as well as a location. And then it's going to go to work actually provisioning and deploying all the resources that are defined in that template. So this can take several minutes to finish. So you're just going to want to let that run. I actually went ahead and already deployed this template like in one of those baking shows. So this is already available here, but this is the template that it will deploy. So you can chat with this. This is just kind of a basic AI chat app. But the important part is that it actually set up all this infrastructure for you. So if we zoom in here, you can see it created a container app, a managed identity. So this is set up properly with Entra ID and all that. as well as a container registry and an OpenAI service. It just deployed all of that for you and got the app running. And so you can just start using all of this in a few minutes using that template. So there's a whole gallery of different scenarios and app templates available for you to go through here and see something that's similar to what you might want to use yourself. Now, the last announcement I want to touch on is that GitHub Models are now in preview. So you can see this preview in the upper right. And GitHub Models is just what it describes here. So you can try, test, and deploy different AI models right here in GitHub. And it also provides integration with other platforms such as Azure. So this is kind of GitHub's developer-friendly AI center here. But not only is it now in preview, but there's also additional Azure AI service models here. So I'm a big fan of the Phi-3 family of AI models. So for example, if we pick this model and then we click on Playground in the upper right here, we can now just play with that model right here without any further setup. So you don't really have to do anything to actually just be able to interact with the AI models. And there's some interesting stuff here. So we can actually compare the behavior of two different AI models. So I could go up here and I could pick something like Llama. And these are also multimodal if the model allows it. So you can put in images and things like that. And then when you're ready to deploy one of these, say you're happy with that Phi-3 model, there's all these different integrations here where you can actually just deploy these out to Azure and things like that. So if I click Get Production Key, you can see that's going to go out to Azure AI, so we can launch that, and that's going to take us over to AI Studio, and from there you can deploy these out and kind of productionize what you were just testing over in GitHub Models. So GitHub Models has actually been around for a few months already, but now it's officially in preview, but it now also supports additional Azure models and integrations. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you next time right here on the Code Wolf.